Hey everybody, how you doing? Thanks for tuning into my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about getting started in sim racing. And the reason I thought about this is that I've been sim racing on Twitch, streaming it, and in ACC for almost a year now. I've put in about 360 hours, give or take 10 on top of that, and I've learned a lot in a year. And when I first went into ACC, I was actually on a console, on my Xbox One. It's my Xbox One X, and it was a decent experience. But I felt that in order for me to get the true experience, I was going to have to go with a PC. And I was very fortunate that my community helped me build my PC as quick as I did through donations and bits and subscriptions, and they continue to support me on my stream. And you're welcome to come by and take a look and hang out and chat with me live. There's a I'll leave a link up here. But I felt that the best experience for me was going to be in a PC, and that's where I went ultimately. And the route that I took, I started off with a console, and then I went to a Logitech wheel, and then after that I upgraded to a Fanatic kit. But before that, when I take you back several years, and I'll date myself. I remember when I had my 360, and I was the first real wheel that I had was the Microsoft gaming wheel, and I remember when I got that wheel, I thought, wow, this is amazing, because it had some force feedback and some rumble, and it was really good, and it really helped with the immersion of driving. And mind you, I was playing Forza back then, so it wasn't really a simulation. But my first introduction to simulation racing was through Gran Turismo. And I know many people have different ways and different routes that how they get introduced into sim racing. For me, Gran Turismo, even way back in the day, and Gran Turismo Sport really was the catalyst for me. And I became galvanized with my experiences through Gran Turismo Sport, that made me want to take it more seriously than I was, and eventually into ACC, and I dabbled a little bit into iRacing as well. For me, because I like sports cars, sports car racing, GT racing, and ACC was the sim of my choice, and I spend the majority of my time in there. I did a video, you can take a look up here, did a video on ACC versus iRacing. It's not that one is better, clear-cut better, they're very different, and I outlined some differences in that video. Be sure to check that out. When you start off in sim racing, it's very easy to think that you need to get the most expensive kit in order to be successful, and that's not true. I started off with, like I said, when I started getting serious, I bought a Logitech G920 wheel, and I had it sitting on, actually had it sitting on my lap for a bit, and I found out very quickly that that was not ideal. I spent this money to get a decent wheel, and it was a good wheel. It didn't let me down in the few years that I had it, and I ended up making a wheel stand out of 2x4s and plywood. And I know many people do that still, and they're very fast using entry-level gear and homemade solutions for mounting the rim and wheel, and it worked very well for me. My ultimate goal was to have something more, I don't know, dare I say professional, more appropriate. So I bought a GT Omega wheel stand, and that was awesome. I liked the fact that I could fold it up, even though I didn't have to. I liked that I had the ability to fold it up. I wanted to take it to my friend's house. I could take that wheelbase and the pedal set. It's all attached. So after spending some time there, I found that with the Logitech G920, the wheelbase was okay. It was a gear-driven wheelbase, and I had read on some forums that people complained about it being notchy and noisy. I didn't really have any complaints that way. Now that I've used a belt-driven wheel, I can see what people are talking about. If you go from belt drive to gears, like the Logitech, then I would definitely see some validity there. But I went from gear-driven to belt drive. I have a Fanatic CSW Club Sport wheel, and I love it. It's fantastic. But it took me quite a while before I decided to pull the trigger and buy it. And I have the big reason why I pulled the trigger is that I found that the Logitech pedals were horrible for me. Namely the brake pedal. The brake pedal, I didn't have the feel. I didn't have the precision that I wanted. I couldn't trail brake. It just wasn't very accurate for me. So I ended up going to mod the pedals, in short of, you know, buying a replacement pedal, which I ultimately did anyways. And I did a video, you can check it out here, on upgrading your Logitech G29, G920, G923, whatever the newest wheel is. This upgrade will work on all of those wheelbases, and it's a dramatic improvement. It uses a progressive spring, so you have that load cell feeling, and it does help your consistency. So be sure to check that out. If you have that pedal set, just know that that's a limiting factor. For me, I found that was a limiting factor. The wheel, I was fine. I could live with the wheel. And the force feedback that I got, even though it was a little raw, it wasn't horrible. But the pedals were a deal breaker for me. I ultimately went with a, when I was on the PC, I used the Logitech wheelbase and Fanatic CSL Elite pedals. And that was a big, even though it didn't have the load cell at the time, that was a huge improvement. Again, I wanted the load cell. The wheel came with the I guess Club Sport. Sorry, I'm saying the CSW. The Club Sport wheelbase came with the pedals, like matching Club Sport pedals, and it had a load cell, and I loved it. The problem was the printed circuit board, the PCB, failed on me, and I'd have no brakes or I would have full throttle, and it's just a hazard on the track with other cars, other drivers. So I ended up doing away with that and buying the load cell kit for the CSL Elite pedal set. Let me tell you, worth the money. I know you may balk at the load cell, saying, hey, man, it's almost as much as the pedal kit. It's worth it. Or if you're looking at buying pedals, just buy the CSL Elite pedals with the load cell. You'll thank me later. It's been an absolute game changer for me. But like I said, you don't need to spend all kinds of money. You don't need a big fancy computer. You don't need to have a rig like what I'm in right now. Those things can come later. To get started, get a wheel. That's the most important thing. You don't need to invest a whole bunch of money, because if you get into sim racing, is not easy. There's a lot of people that think they're going to go into sim racing, find out it's not for them. They spend a whole bunch of money, and then you see all that gear, all that kit on, you know, Kijiji or whatever, Craigslist, people selling it because it wasn't for them. Ease into it. You don't need fancy gear to be half decent at sim racing. There are pros that use Logitech G920, the driving force, that are absolutely fast. They're just totally rapid, and you know, the gear doesn't define how good a driver you are. It looks good, but you know, as your skill progresses, then you can start looking at some of the advantages of some higher end gear may afford you. Help me refine my driving and my craft. I become better because I now know what I'm looking for in the gear, what I want the gear to give me. This is the reason why I haven't gone to a direct drive. Even though I could buy one right now, I don't feel that I can justify the expense over what I have right now, because it's not going to make me faster. You know, maybe the immersion will be a bit better, but it's still not enough for me to justify, even if I went with a CSL DD, which is affordable, the hassle of selling my current kit to get the new one, it's not worth it right now for me. So I'm sticking with what I got. I love it. And I hope that you can come into sim racing. I love it. If you like racing, if you enjoy cars, you will love this hobby. It's very good, and it can be as serious or as fun as you want it to be. Some of the online lobby stuff can be a little tense sometimes with people. You know what? Race offline. Get used to the sim. It's not easy. Whether it's iRacing or ACC or Assetto Corsa, just get in it and enjoy it, and enjoy the experience. You don't have to spend a bunch of money. You can do it on a console. And as you outgrow some things, as you outgrow your kit, replace it as you go. Don't go in there with spending $5,000 on a complete rig and setup and everything. You don't need to do that. Anyways, I stream on Twitch. I will also be streaming on YouTube, so you can catch some live streams here if you subscribe. Like to subscribe to the video if you like it. If you like my content, it does encourage me to make more. I enjoy what I do. I hope to see you on the next one, and happy racing.